Hey everybody, Jeffrey Collins here. I thought I'd make a small video about some recent conversations that I've had about the artist Barnett Newman, and a conversation that I've had with a colleague or two. The book has been out for a while now, enough for a lot of people to digest it. And one of the things that I wanted to make a small commentary on was it's so funny how litigious this guy was. You know, I mean, he really didn't like you, even if he felt like you were talking about him or something. He'd hit you with a freaking lawsuit. I don't know how much it cost to file a lawsuit back then, but I think it costs quite a bit today. I say that as somebody who probably has about $30 in my bank account. We were speaking about the arguments that the abstract expressionists would get into with each other, whether it's Philip Pavia telling the story about Ad Reinhardt and how they would make fun of the guy, you know, say, what's the matter with you? You afraid to commit yourself to a strong color, you know, what's with these faded colors? Because he was making all these paintings that were in yellows and very pastel colors. And so they did this typical New York, you know, gotta stick the knife in a little bit, you know, so what's the matter with you? You can't make a strong color, you know, so he went back to his studio probably that night, you know, and said, hey, here you go, check this out, you know. Next thing you know, he hits him with the blackest paintings, you know, that had ever been seen up to that point. And some good paintings. I finally got to see one myself back in 2010 at the ABEX show in New York City. And that was my first show. That was my first time going to MoMA. So 2010, I've been 35, you know, so took me a while to get there. Took me a while to get to New York City. I didn't get to New York City for the first time until July of 2004. And if it hadn't have been for Joseph Marioni, it wouldn't have happened at all. You know, he was the guy that I was talking to. He was the only person that would have discussions with me. The guy had never even seen my face. You know, I think he had seen pictures of me, but that was it. You know, I had seen pictures of him, and he really knew that I knew his work, and that I loved his work, and I respected his work, and I think he got a kick out of some of my responses sometimes about certain paintings, certain things that he would do. On his front door, if you walked up the stairs, 543 8th Avenue, and you walked up those first flight of stairs, and you got to that door, on that door was a little post-it note, and it said, elitist. And I was like, this guy thinks he's some kind of Kevin Mitnick of painting. And I'm like, yeah, I like this dude. And that's what, 444 on the timer. And so, man, that dude was so litigious. So litigious. If you check out the Clifford Still book from the Met, he graciously posted up a lot of his letters to different people, including like Robert Motherwell, Barnett Newman. It's so funny that Clifford Still blames Barnett Newman's zip on a theft of his lightning bolt energy, whatever the heck he wanted to call it. Still didn't take anything away from his paintings. You know, I think these guys all felt that if they took something from this person, that it was going to make their work suffer. You know, and we get that low energy vibe of, you know, there's only so many of us, and oh my God, you just took an idea that I had and did your own thing with it. Oh my goodness, that's gonna destroy my career. You know, nobody's gonna know about me now because you're gonna figure it out more than I did, and people are gonna like your work more than they do mine. And it's, you know. But by the way, you can probably hear the fan in the background. Just think of it as I got a Brian Eno soundtrack going on. Actually, it'd probably be more like John Cage or something like that. John Cage, man, that dude was wild, wasn't he? If you ever get a chance to check out there's a music file on YouTube. It's called John Cage Indeterminacy. And it was a 4 CD set. A French buddy of mine gave it to me a long time ago. And he gave it to me, and he gave me the Silence book from Cage. Great book. A lot of those aspects can be conducive to making great paintings too. So if you're looking for great ideas, you know, check out that audio. You'll love his commentary on modern Japanese not painting, modern Japanese poetry. That's pretty freaking funny. Really shows he's got a good sense of humor. But Barnett Newman sure didn't. At least maybe not then. You know? I mean, this dude, he was really interested in, you know, he was like the whole thing of Whistler and John Ruskin, you know? Talking about, you know, a pot of paint flung in the face of the public. No, he didn't do that. But man, did that dude get pissed off about that too, you know? He went and sued him. Pretty much used up all his money because of it. What an idiot. What a stupid thing to do, you know? What'd you end up getting in return, you know? You got nothing. Duh. You know? You could learn something from A Bronx Tale, you know? Cost you $20 to get rid of this guy, you know? What are you worried about? But, yeah. Holding on to grudges, man. I guess maybe that's the real point of this. Don't hold on to grudges. That stuff just makes you old too fast. You know, hate, it really brings you down, man. You gotta let those people go. You gotta let that crap go. You gotta move on, you know. I had one more instance before I go. I won't say his name, but people need to learn how to let things go, especially in the art world. I'll tell you this little story here. So one of the times that I was in New York, I really got to go to New York a lot between 2011 and 2019. A lot. I think I counted every single trip. If I went every single week by week of how many times I had been there, it mounted up to an entire year. And I was just like, wow, you know, I've actually got to spend a year in New York from these wonderfully nice people, you know. So Joe, Peter, Louise, Rodney, Anders, Randy, Nils, Ivy, you know. I had a lot of fun. But we had a lot of good times. So I go and I get this book. Okay? I get this book. And it's one of my favorite artists, painters, but not the guy I'm staying with. And oh man, did this dude have a bug up his ass about this other guy? And so I go and I went over to Strand, got myself a couple of books, and what I could get, and I bought this book, CVJ, Curriculum Vitae, Julian, and I love that book. It's so good. He really is right. He's like, that really thing could be like a self-help book for artists. And so I pull it out. He said, we sit down. He's like, so what'd you get? I was like, so I went ahead and I pulled out this one book. I think it was, I had gotten one of those Sotheby's books, catalogs or something like that. And then I had gotten a book on, was it my de Kooning book? No, I think it was a book on Mangold. And one of my art catalogs. And then the Schnabel book. I pull out the Schnabel book. I see it in his face. His face immediately goes, I'm like, yeah, he definitely doesn't like it. So I'm like, yeah, I know you don't like the dude, but that's okay, I do, you know. And I noticed it was so funny. The rest of my trip that I was at his place, he was like kind of a little sour to me. What but it do, you know? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? And then every single time that I would call him, he would make it apparent that I wasn't going to be hanging out over at his place anymore after that. I'm not going to say his name, but you know, if you know who I am and you know me and we've talked, you know who it is. I don't want to say the name personally. Please don't say the name in the comments. The world doesn't need that kind of stuff. But I'm just sharing an example of things we need to let go. I don't know why people have a problem with Julian Schnabel. I think they have a problem with him because they feel like they were the ones that were in line to get the gold. And suddenly this kid comes out of left field and just decimates people. He just decimated them. He just ran roughshod right over them. Had no idea he was doing it. But to them, that's what it was happening. He was the one doing it to their life. He was the one that suddenly was destroying their career. Because of him, they couldn't get showing with Mary Boone. Or something like that. You know? These people like to blame other people on their floundering careers. Hey, I'm as guilty as anybody. You know? I used to think stuff like that. But then eventually I realized, no, it wasn't that at all. It wasn't that at all. But take care of yourselves, people, okay? Think twice before you make any commentary about somebody out in public. Most of the time, nobody really needed to know it anyway. Have a good day, all right? Cheers.